For centuries, the very name Viking struck fear into the hearts of people across Europe. These seafaring warriors from the north were renowned for their ferocity, their daring raids, and their uncanny ability to appear as if from nowhere, strike with devastating force, and vanish with their spoils. But what was the secret to their success? Was it just sheer brutality, or was there something more to their art of war? The answer lies in the tools of their trade. Viking weapons and armor were not just crude instruments of violence. They were a testament to sophisticated craftsmanship, innovative design, and a deep understanding of battlefield tactics. In this video, we're going to explore the arsenal of the Vikings and uncover what made their weapons and armor so incredibly effective. While Hollywood loves to show every Viking wielding a massive axe or a gleaming sword, the reality is that the most common weapon for the average warrior was the spear. Spears were relatively cheap and easy to produce, making them accessible to all levels of society. But don't let their simplicity fool you. In the hands of a skilled Viking, the spear was a versatile and deadly weapon. It could be thrown to disrupt enemy formations from a distance or used in close combat with devastating reach. The true power of the spear was unleashed when combined with the iconic Viking round shield. This wasn't just a passive piece of defense, it was an active weapon, made from planks of wood, often linden for its lightness and resistance to splitting, and covered in leather or linen. These shields were surprisingly resilient. The central iron boss protected the warrior's hand and could also be used to punch and bash opponents. Together, the spear and shield formed the heart of the formidable Viking shield wall. By interlocking their shields, Viking warriors created an almost impenetrable barrier, a moving fortress of wood and steel from which they could project a hedge of deadly spear points. This tactic was incredibly effective at repelling cavalry charges and overwhelming less organized infantry. Now, let's talk about the weapon that has become synonymous with the Vikings, the axe. The Viking axe was a masterpiece of functional design. Unlike swords, which were expensive and time-consuming to make, axe heads required less iron and were quicker to forge. This made them a more common sidearm for many warriors. But the Viking battle axe was a far cry from a simple wood-chopping tool. The bearded axe, with its elongated lower edge, was particularly ingenious. This design allowed a warrior to hook an opponent's shield, leg, or weapon, pulling them off balance and creating an opening for a fatal blow. The long handle of the two-handed Dane axe could generate immense cleaving power, capable of splitting shields and helmets with a single terrifying strike. The psychological impact of a charging line of Vikings, their fearsome axes held high, cannot be overstated. It was a weapon designed not just to kill, but to intimidate and break the morale of their enemies. While the spear and axe were the workhorses of the Viking arsenal, the sword was the king. Owning a sword was a sign of wealth and high status. These were not just weapons. They were heirlooms, passed down through generations and often given names. The blades were typically double-edged and designed for powerful cutting blows. Early Viking swords often featured pattern-welded blades, where rods of iron and steel were twisted and forged together to create a strong yet flexible weapon with a distinctive wavy pattern. The most legendary of these were the Ulfberht swords, renowned for their incredibly high-quality steel that was far ahead of its time. The exact methods of their creation are still debated by archaeologists, but their effectiveness on the battlefield is undisputed. An Ulfberht sword could shear through lesser blades and armor, making the warrior who wielded it a truly formidable opponent. So, what did the Vikings wear to protect themselves from these fearsome weapons? While the stereotypical image of a horned helmet is pure fantasy, the reality is just as fascinating. The most common form of head protection was a conical helmet, often made from iron plates riveted together. A nasal guard, extending down over the nose, provided crucial protection for the face. These helmets were designed to deflect blows, and their simple, effective construction made them accessible to many warriors. For body armor, the wealthiest Vikings would have worn a byrnie, a shirt of chainmail. Made of thousands of interlinked iron rings, a byrnie was incredibly effective at stopping cuts and slashes from swords and axes. However, it offered less protection against the crushing force of a heavy blow or the piercing thrust of a spear. Chainmail was also extremely expensive and labor-intensive to produce, so it was likely reserved for chieftains and elite warriors. The average Viking would have relied on simpler, yet still effective, forms of protection. Thick, padded leather, or layers of wool and linen could absorb the impact of blows and offer a surprising degree of protection. This lighter armor also allowed for greater speed and maneuverability on the battlefield, which was crucial for the Vikings' lightning-fast raiding tactics. Ultimately, the effectiveness of Viking weapons and armor came down to the warrior who wielded them. The Vikings were a people raised in a harsh and unforgiving land, and their culture celebrated strength, courage, and martial prowess. They were not just mindless berserkers. They were disciplined warriors who understood tactics, the importance of teamwork in the shield wall, and how to use their weapons to their full potential. Their longships gave them unparalleled mobility, allowing them to strike wherever and whenever they chose, keeping their enemies in a constant state of fear and uncertainty. So, what made Viking weapons and armor so effective? It was a combination of practical, well-crafted designs, the use of the best available materials, and a deep understanding of the brutal realities of combat. But more than that, it was the indomitable spirit of the warriors themselves, forged in the frozen north and unleashed upon the world. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of the Vikings, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments what other aspects of Viking history you'd like us to explore. Skull.